We have breaking news. The Toronto Maple Leafs have made a sneaky good signing, and who this signing is very interesting. We break down exactly what it is, discuss what it means going forward, as well as discuss multiple Leafs updates as it pertains to both their goaltending and some other updates on that front. Stay tuned for all that in this episode, but before we get into it, if you're a part of the 70% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Leafs content, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Your guys' support has been unbelievable, and yeah, bear with us again over the post games for the next couple of games. We're going to be a little bit murky. Very busy weekend for Darius and I, but we'll be back on Monday for every single game. We might have a post game live tomorrow. Just a note there. But Darius, breaking news today. And literally minutes ago, the Leafs made a signing. They made a move. It is not the move that a lot of Leafs fans were expecting, whether that be Mikko Rantanen, Scott Laughton, all those different things. So multiple videos coming out on that. However, they did make a signing. This player is quite interesting. You see this here. The Leafs have announced the signing of forward Boria Valis, I think I'm pronouncing that right, to a 3-year entry-level contract. The 20-year-old has recorded 73 points in 57 games with Prince George. He's a power forward. He's 6'2", 200 pounds, has accumulated 216 points in 236 career WHL games between Prince George and Regina. Darius, this is he's actually a pretty impressive player, and if you look at his stats, we'll dive into a little bit here. Quite the addition.
Yeah, before we dive into that, I mean, let's just acknowledge, first of all, that it's a Saturday night and there's no Leafs game. What are we doing, NHL? What are we doing, Gary? Right? Come on, let's get to it. But anyway, the rest of the season will be fine. But anyway, this is a really good signing. I really, really like this signing. This player, if you look at his stats, notoriously in the WHL, he is about a point a game player, right? Which is okay, right? And it doesn't kind of jump out the page at you or anything like that. You're like, why would you ever sign or draft a player that's a point a game in junior hockey, right? But this year, he looks like he's figuring it out, and he's 20 years old, and he looks really, really good this year. His point totals are pretty impressive. So I actually really like this signing because it looks like he's finally coming into his own. He's dominating the league, right? Like he's putting up way more points than games played, and he's dominating games that he's in. So again, I think this is a pretty good sneaky signing for the Leafs to see if they can kind of bring him into the organization, develop him with their development staff and coaching. And he'll probably end up on the Marlies one day, but again, he's a power forward, 6'2", right? All those good things that I think you can teach him the rest. And again, it looks like he's figuring it out at this point. So it's not uncommon that, guys go undrafted like this and then they start to figure it out when they're 19, 20, 21 in the OHL, WHL, QMJHL, right? So I think that this is a very underrated and sneaky signing. And, him coming into the Leafs organization to, again, work with the development staff and the coaching and all that, I think that this could be a guy that one day could, we could see him in the NHL. So again, pretty under the radar signing. Had no idea this guy existed, to be completely honest with you, but after doing some research and seeing some of the stuff he's been doing this year, I think that it's the way he's been going after, the way he started in the W. I really like it.
Yeah, they got him during his breakout year, which is this year. You can see over a point per game, almost a point and a half, a bit less than that, obviously, in 73 points in 57 games. And again, he's a big player. And hopefully he's going to be some sort of prospect the Leafs can look forward to in the future. And yeah, it's very interesting. A couple notes on him. He was at the Red Wings development camp last summer, played for Detroit in the prospect tournament. So if you recognize the name and you keep up to date with that, he was there. He also had a nice power play goal the other night. So he's making moves, and the Leafs are making moves as well. And hopefully this is the calm before the storm here. This is the first signing before they actually make some big trades at the deadline. But I mean, you can't really go wrong with the 20-year-old. Again, he went undrafted, but 73 points this year, 29 goals in 57 games is nothing to scoff at. Again, it's junior hockey, so it's nothing too crazy, but you're getting him for nothing either. You didn't have to use a draft pick on him. So let us know down below what your thoughts are, and if you've been watching him. Again, we did some research on it. I wasn't super familiar with the player, even though he was at a prospect tournament when he was with the Red Wings. So other teams did have their eye on him, but ultimately the Leafs got him again. And we've been hearing a lot about the Leafs kind of going into some of these signings of prospects and a lot of rumblings about different players like that. So it's good to see them always try to improve their farm. But speaking of improving some things, we have some news. And obviously yesterday the Leafs played the Rangers, and they have another game coming up here tomorrow in an afternoon game, which is going to be quite the interesting one. We have a couple updates on that front, but we can start with this. More history for 16 as he officially ties George Armstrong for 5th all-time in Leafs franchise history in points with 713. So Darius, any quick notes on this? But we also have, before we get into that, Morgan Rielly. I want to focus on him a little bit because he's obviously been, everybody's been, myself included, harping on him. He hasn't been very good this season at all. However, he's been playing really, really well over the past handful of games. The Leafs are on a winning streak. They're winning every single game they play, it feels like. And Morgan Rielly is a big part of that. 9 points in his last 8 games. And the +5 is something to look at there, because he was in the, I guess, the negatives or in the minus on the +- which isn't, a be-all, end-all. But for a defenseman, it's an okay surface level view of what, how he's playing.
I don't put personally too much into plus minus, but there are times where you look at it and you go, that does tell a story. And that was kind of telling a story with Morgan Riley earlier this season. But to touch on Mitch Marner first, statistically, one of the best Leafs of all time. We're seeing it now. He's putting up insane numbers, right? This is a really good team, regular season team over the last 8, 9 years, right? And I just wish that he could, do that type of stuff in the playoffs. I know the game changes, and I'm really looking forward to this year's playoffs to see what he can do after what happened with the Four Nations face-off. But to move forward to Morgan Riley, again, you know, like I said, with the plus minus and everything, like he was not having a good season whatsoever. But his last handful of games, very good. He's really turned it around. He's looking a lot better. Like again, he's not looking like the Morgan Riley of maybe, a couple seasons ago where he had 72 points. But I don't know if we'll ever see that Morgan Riley again. I feel like he's somewhere in the middle. That's kind of who he is. And I have to give credit to Craig Berube too. He pulled him aside. If everyone remembers, a couple of weeks ago, there was a lot made out of that. We had a video on that. That he pulled him aside and said, basically, this is what we need out of you. This is what we expect out of you. And I guess they were like kind of working together. And since that day, since that came out, he has looked significantly better. So have to give credit to the coach there, but this is a good sign. They needed Morgan Riley to play better, and he's definitely playing better. And I mean, even last night, he looked pretty good. And then, if you look a couple games ago, and even, before the Four Nations face-off, he was probably their best player against the Vancouver Canucks in that loss. So, he's putting together some pretty good performances as of late.
Yeah, blue line's starting to play better. We saw OEL get a goal in yesterday's game, and that was a good win as well against the
Yeah.
Rangers. And yeah, I mean, ultimately, Marner, whether or not he's going to remain a Leaf beyond this season, I'm leaning towards no. He is one of the best players in franchise history, even though it's been a little bit of it's been a sour taste left in a lot of fans' mouths because of what happened with his agent, Darren Ferris, all these different things. Last offseason, he's playing great. Morgan Riley, they need him to play well in order to have any success in the playoffs and even the regular season as they continue to hold on to that number one spot. But speaking of success, Anthony Stolarz. You can see here from Jake McCabe. I can't say enough about our goaltending. It's good stuff, I'll say, for the sake of the video and being, I'm not going to swear in the video. But it is true. It is very, I mean, Stolarz won them the game yesterday. And if you were watching the game, Stolarz was one of the key reason they won. That was coming off of his worst game as a Leaf, which still wasn't a terrible game, but it was his worst game as a Leaf. And to see Stolarz come out there and win and help them continue their winning streak. And see this here on why it's working so well. Anthony Stolarz came out and spoke out about it. He said, I'm just feeling good and seeing the puck well. Like I said, the defensemen and forwards are doing a really good job of letting me see the puck. And more times than not, when that happens, I'm going to stop it. I got a little heat a couple times with a couple posts, so I'm grateful for that, but it's part of the game. Any thoughts on this? I mean, he carried them to a win in yesterday's game. Obviously, the offense did what they had to do. They got enough goals, but it was really the goaltending that and the defense to a degree that it makes the defense job a lot easier that led to the win, especially with Jake McCabe. And when the defense is playing well, of course, it makes Stolarz' job a lot better.
That was genuinely one of the best games the Rangers have played this season, and Anthony Stolarz took it away from them, right? And he ensured that. And I know, like Nylander's goal was not the prettiest goal, right? But sometimes you need to win games like that, and I think that's fine. Nice's goal was really nice too. So, sometimes you need to win games because of your goaltending, and the Leafs goaltending this season has won them games, and that's what good teams do, right? Like sometimes the forwards are going to carry you, sometimes your goalie's going to win you a game, and that's exactly what good teams have when you go to the playoffs. Elite teams have, right? And Anthony Stolarz, to me, Craig Berube kind of spoke on this yesterday before the game that, who are you going to pick basically when it comes to the playoffs? Like you got two good goalies here. What's going to happen? And he basically said that one guy is going to take over. He believes that one guy is going to take over. And that one guy to me, and listen, on the channel, everybody, if you've been watching for a while, back to last season, I'm a huge Joseph Woll guy. Big supporter of Joseph Woll. I love him. But it's Anthony Stolarz. He's going to take charge here. He already has this season if he didn't get injured, right? He's already been the guy. So heading into the playoffs, he's going to be the guy. He's the rock for this team. He's won them games. And I think that, looking back a couple of years now, 6 years, 5 years ago, you couldn't say that about the Leafs. So I'm really excited to see what happens in this year's playoffs because I feel like they filled in a couple holes in the offseason. They have the goaltending now. Even if Stolarz were to go down for whatever reason, I do believe in Woll too. So they're in a great spot, and the goaltending's been unbelievable.
Bailed out. They at least got bailed out a little bit yesterday, but a win's a win, and they're winning all these games without Austin Matthews being able to score goals and shoot the puck properly. But that'll wrap it up. Let us know down below what your thoughts are. And again, the Leafs made an interesting signing, but hopefully more moves are to come. We'll keep you up to date. See you later.